Peace and positive. This is Amelia A. Otto, aka Emily MC, author of Y'all Not Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind. And today's topic, I'm a little excited because this was a big catalyst of the entire book. Today's topic is on birthdays, year-round self-celebration, birthday depression, and the birthday industrial complex. Now, before we get into some clips from the global community, we're looking at the customs, cultural traditions, social expectations, and modern takes on what has been framed and normalized as a person, place, or thing's annual celebration of life. Yet, for all the innocence and positivity within the idea that a human being especially should rejoice and be rejoiced for the fact of existing, there are so many mixed emotions, different schools of thought, imbalanced psychologies, and life-defining political economics around birthdays. Now, while the manner in which one celebrates or is celebrated is highly subjective and usually extends from one's personal level of privacy, community influence, chosen family, and or immediate upbringing, I like to call this being raised in a birthday house or not raised in a birthday house. The hyper-focused commercialization of the singular birthday, especially in the American West, has created yet another fragmented storm made of external validation, an erosion of ethics and civic principles, the disappearance of third places, ageism, youth obsession, fabricated timelines, mainstream pop culture coverage of highly produced and well-budgeted self-celebration, and so-called mid-youth and midlife crises, which continue to harm the collective conscious, and for those caught in the storm, our fundamental health, if you will. What sometimes is and should always be positively reinforced light of life, growing stages, or personal graduations of meaning throughout the year are often concentrated and or reduced to a single day or yearly period of unhealthy comparison, not feeling enough, an unavoidable appraisal of poor and still unchanged surroundings, angst about the modern world, decidedly performative activity, compulsive spending, social clout, and or obligatory social media posts. Now, as noted in You're Not Alone If You Get the Birthday Blues by Shannon Barber in 2022, the latest edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders didn't include birthday depression, but it's been an increasingly common dis-ease cited by psychologists, therapists, and counselors all over. It's also been the topic of several scientific case studies between 2004 and 2024, including one examining increased suicide rates of males ages 35 to 54, all within 3 days of their birthday. Ratio. In 2016, Reuters put out an article called How Parents Can Fight the Birthday Industrial Complex, citing the growing extravagance of wedding-level birthday parties for children, some who will be too young to even remember said party, and, quote, it has become a lot more about the parents than about the kids, end quote. Megan Francis's 2019 article for NBC News titled, Kids' Birthday Parties Are Out of Control. It's time for adults that throw them to get a grip, echoed similar themes, citing, quote, the festivities have only grown bigger, more competitive, increasingly expensive, and a lot less fun for everyone involved, end quote. The fact that birthdays have gotten bigger but not necessarily more fun has always baffled me. It's yet another example of how modern advances and wealth have not equaled more happiness, fulfillment, personal power, or peace. Now, according to a 2023 study cited by Advanced Dermatology, 88% of Americans now recognize the significance of quality self-care, although 1 in 4, usually a woman, still feel guilty about self-celebration. Inez Estrada Vigil said it best, however, in the 2023 opinion via the Department of Medicine Pontificia Universidad Católica in Argentina, titled, Celebrating is Important to Our Mental Health, that quality celebrations can improve our relationships, reduce the chance of depression, and, quote, consciously cultivating an attitude of gratitude builds up a sort of psychological immune system that can cushion us when we fall, end quote. You know, I wrote a song about that. Like to hear it? Here we go. Nah, but you can check that out on the Chocolate Bars album. It's called The Gifts. excellent segue, actually, because speaking of, hip hop has absolutely added to the healing and harm of the birthday industrial complex, intentionally and unintentionally. Now, of course, it's not hip hop's fault that it's one of the most powerful energies in human history and a culture which changed the world in less than 50 years. It's not hip hop's fault that the slang, customs, indigenously rooted rituals, and urban colloquialisms of hip hop's music, fashion, design, performing arts, literature, and entrepreneurship are so voraciously influential, adopted, and assimilated by mainstream culture and subculture communities in almost every facet of the globe. I mean, look at one of the origins of the assembly of the 5 pillars in graffiti writing, DJing, MCing, breakdancing, and knowledge. The culture rose from ciphers, park jams, and something highly synonymous with birthdays: parties. One could argue creative management and event planning are as much the original pillars of hip-hop as the known 5. And since the debatable catalyst of the Kool Herc and Cindy Campbell back-to-school jam in August of 1973, hip-hop has been a prime tone setter and inclusionary stamp of all things celebration. Now, 50 Cent made sure to hang upside down during the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show to literally breathe 20 years of life into his monstrous hit in the club, which has been uttered and parodied by every shade, color, and kind. And I mean, yeah, it doesn't even have to be your birthday for you to feel good hearing or saying, "Go shout it, it's your birthday." I mean, yeah. And there's just an abundance of hip-hop songs that fill birthday playlists with everything from Grandmaster Flash to Busta Rhymes to Cardi B. And of course, the birthday industrial complex has been sure to capitalize on hip-hop's cultural capital in this aspect too. I mean, there's an unending supply and demand for hip-hop themed birthday cards, birthday cakes, party supplies, event-based entertainment, karaoke, sweaters, letters, cheddars, you name it. However, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today not because what a time to be alive, but because Biggie said it best, that for some of us, birthdays was the worst days. And this wasn't exclusive to being middle to low income, fixed income, or double dutching on the poverty line either. And much like I've reminded y'all about the Ready to Die album context of Juicy, the birthday hit that will likely keep 50 Cent paid for generations was on an album covered by a portrait of himself behind cracked glass from literal gunshots, and a declaration that he would what? Get rich or die trying. Now, somewhere along the lines, celebrations have become extensions of trauma, silos, and perceived earned suffering. They mirror the severe imbalances of the collective psyche, our lack of value for growth, and our discomfort with truth. We seem to require proof of life for already living. Attention seeking is accepted because invisibility on most other days is also accepted. And then, a global pandemic comes along, and suddenly everyone can feel an acute claustrophobia or renewed resourcefulness around the limitations of externally validated self-celebration. Now, there are some spiritual schools of thought which credit every breath as a birthday, and that's beautiful. There are also rites of passage ceremonies, healing circles, and new customs being created all over the world all the time, with great meaning to individuals and great connection with whole groups and nature. What created both birthday depression and the birthday industrial complex are the same elements echoed in our Day 3 episode on hustle culture, the Day 4 episode on mental health fasting, and also explored in the If You've Cried on Your Birthday, Make Some Noise chapter of my book. I'll let y'all explore those, but just wanted to remind you that as one of my greatest inspirations of all time, the artist, still known as Prince, said, "How many birthdays have you had?" 1. You've had one birthday. So I ask you now, how often do you acknowledge yourself throughout the year and how well you're doing at existing? And in special moments or on special days, is your physical frame celebrated because you made it? Or are you just trying to carry on tradition? Are you self-defining what celebration means and how it feels? Or are you caught up in the complex? Now, if you're following along with my original book and workbook, Here's your day 7 quote from page 118 and prompt number 7. And plot twist, I decided to put these two together. So here continued is your day 7 quote from page 125 and prompt number 8. Thank you for all your support of Y'all Not Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind. And without further ado, let's roll the clips and hear from the global community about realities, imbalances, politics, and psychology of birthdays, self-celebration, and the routine cultivation of gratitude in life for our mental health and wellness. Peace.
That's mental health, to be able to celebrate yourself and to be able to give yourself some credit. And I feel like that was a great statement for those going through mental health, because we always depend on confirmation, or we depend on someone to make us feel like we're worthy or we're validated, when in actuality you should thank yourself for being validated, because you're the one that got to get up every day and do this and walk this walk, talk this talk, and do what you do to be you. So thank yourself, pat yourself on the back. Not somebody else say it. I need to say it and say that I'm doing a good job. You're doing a great job, dog. Keep it up. And no matter what they say, you're doing a great job, and your work is speaking for yourself.
I want to talk about the psychology of birthday blues. It's that weird mix between feeling so excited, but also feeling this weird sense of grief and sadness. It's my birthday today, and that's exactly how I'm feeling. Birthday blues, birthday anxiety, whatever you want to call it. We were taught that birthdays are a performative thing. Like, since we were young, that's literally what we were taught. And somewhere along the line, I think our birthdays stopped being about us and started being about how people perceive us. It's almost like visible proof that you matter and people love you. So of course you think that quantity matters more than quality. That's just how we were taught. And even now that we know that's not really what love is or what birthdays mean, I think it's really hard to let go of. And that's so normal. I just like to anchor my birthday around one thing and then kind of have control over that one thing so that I can try to close the expectation reality gap. And then I've been trying to let more connection just come in small ways rather than the performative ways, and value them as they come. You can't actually plan to a T your entire day. You can try, but it can feel manageable. It can feel more manageable to just start with one thing that you can have some control over. That's helped me. But yeah.
Birthday depression is so real, especially as a man. I turned 21 in 2 to 3 weeks, and instead of being excited about it, I'm more or less stressed. Because the older you get, the less it becomes a celebration, and it starts to become a reflection of your progress. And don't get me wrong, I'm extremely thankful for being able to reach the age of 21. There's a lot of fallen soldiers that weren't able to reach the age that I'm at, or the age that I'm getting to. But at the same time, it's like, shit man, I've got things to do. I can't just sit back, relax and celebrate, because every year I have this pressure of I need to level up the older I get. And that's what many people don't talk about. Birthdays as a man starts to become a reflection of what you haven't achieved. And us men realise that we're kind of on a ticking time bomb, so instead of celebrating, we start holding ourselves accountable for the things that we haven't done. And it's mad because it feels like life is moving way faster than you are, and everyone's expecting you to have it figured out. The car, the money, the stability, the career, the list goes on. And if you're not there yet, that guilt hits you differently, especially on your birthday. It's like a checkpoint in life that forces you to ask, am I really where I want to be yet? And if the answer is no, that can really get to your head. But maybe it's the pressure that keeps us going. It reminds us not to waste the years that we're blessed with.
Using D words like demure, but let's address depression, and more specifically, birthday depression. A feeling that I'm all too familiar with. Once I made peace with the fact that it's nobody's responsibility other than myself to make me feel special or make my birthday special, life became so much more easier and it got less complicated. When you get to an age where you are realizing that other people are not responsible for your happiness, or you're going through life lessons that teach you that nobody is responsible for your happiness but yourself, and that if you do rely heavily on others to be the source of your happiness, a lot of times, more than not, you're going to be disappointed. And people who have a strong dislike for their birthday, please don't be misunderstood. You are heard, you are seen. These are people who rarely have people who truly show up for them and do things for them to show them that they're special or that they are loved. And genuinely wanting that feeling, craving for that feeling, yearning for someone to show up for you the way that you might be showing up for others, and then to not have that reciprocated. I know that shit sucks. I'm more so here to draw attention to the givers, and I'm a giver. So one thing that I love doing is I love making the people in my life feel special. I love taking care of people. I probably have given my last to people who were undeserving.
Guys, it is my birthday. Most people don't know, so it's been a very quiet birthday. But also I don't publicize it, so it's like I don't fault most people for not knowing. What I want to get into real quickly before I head on my solo date is the reason why I don't publicize it. I know a lot of you guys like look up to me and have me as a role model for different things. This is one thing where I'm telling you, you do not want to take after me. It really comes with being hyper independent as I am. Basically, you train yourself to expect disappointment so you're never disappointed, or whatever MJ said. So it's like I don't really like making a big deal out of my birthday, because then I have to expect like people to show up and people to reach out, and it's just like if I never have that expectation, then I'm not disappointed if it doesn't happen, and I don't have to like tie my happiness on my birthday to somebody else. And that kind of works because you're not as disappointed, but it also doesn't make you like happy. So you're not happy, you're not sad, you just kind of feel nothing. So that's not great. But then the other part is like ever since I turned 21, every birthday since then, it's felt just kind of heavy because it's felt more like a progress marker than a celebration. Reminder that I'm getting older and I'm not yet where I want to be. Started to feel like more like, oh, do I deserve to celebrate myself right now? Have I earned it? This is all very toxic thinking. One of my fatal flaws that I'm working on in 2026. 95% of the day I was literally bedrotting. I wasn't gonna do anything for this day. I forced myself to get up, get dressed, get some bundt cake, nothing but cakes, ordered some candles as well, and I'm going to take myself out at this like nice restaurant that just opened. Even though I don't feel like it, that is me doing my part to balance or check my ambition with gratitude. My ambition is so far up here that I forget to take a moment to realize everything that I have, everything that I've achieved, and everything that I have to be grateful for. That is what I need to do in 2026. All of 2026, we're celebrating progress and not just perfection.
I'm proud of myself because the stuff that I used to fall for, I can now ignore. There's some people I look at them and I'm trying to figure out how was I ever with that? How did I ever give them the time of day? They weren't even deserving to my phone number, my time, or my attention. But I'm fighting to keep it together. But I'm so grateful that things I used to do, I don't do anymore.
Don't confuse or mistaken my celebration for overconfidence. I was down, I was poor, I was losing, I was giving it my all and coming up short, but I found a way to make it out, and now I'm on top. Now I'm winning. Let me enjoy my win. Let me be proud of myself. Let me get to celebrate myself in the way that I want to. Let me soak in my rewards because my journey almost destroyed me.
Maturing is realizing that the celebrations of yourself, by yourself, for all the successes that you are making in your life is enough celebration for you. That is the celebration that you need. And that is really what matters the most. What matters is that you're clapping for yourself. Not that everybody sees the different things that you're doing, but that you see what you are doing for you. And that you can have those moments to celebrate by yourself in peace and know like, that's enough. I don't need the whole gang of people to clap and do that for me because I'm doing all this for me right now. And there's beauty in that because I need to be proud of me.
So an older sister friend once said to me, get happy, real happy, and you'll find out who your real friends are. And I was like, oh, that is so jaded. But now I know what she's talking about. Everyone is not going to be happy for your happy. And then you have to take inventory of those relationships, right? But here's the thing. Your circle should be clapping the loudest. And they say, if they're not clapping, get a new circle. Now that's the part that's frustrating because how do you do that? You just let go. You don't have to cut people off. You don't have to tell people off or say a thing. You release. And when you release with faith while being in love with yourself and wanting the best for others, the universe, God, Allah replaces all of that energy just like this.
Start with yourself. If you can be mad at yourself, If you could be angry at yourself, then why can't you celebrate yourself? I mean, the least you can do is be proud of yourself and be proud of who you are. You know, sometimes we just get so in a moment to like, why am I not doing this, or how am I not doing this, or how am I not doing that, that we don't take the time to celebrate ourselves. The most special and important person to you is you. You're amazing. You're special. Celebrate yourself. Yes, you're going to have down days. Yes, you're going to have days where you may be upset and tired and angry. I mean, you can have that. Those are emotions. But don't just have those days every single day.
Okay, y'all, so I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I have a really hard time celebrating myself. Not good, I know. So I decided to make this self-care solo day celebratory activity bowl with different things for me to do to start celebrating myself. I'm so excited about it. Every single Monday at 12 o'clock, I'm going to pick out a different activity, and it just gives me something to look forward to for the week. So let's get it. Look at the bowl. Look at the bowl. I'm so excited. Okay, so what is going to be the first thing? Okay.
All of these comments back from people saying, I don't know how to celebrate myself. That does not surprise me. Best way to celebrate yourself as you work towards a goal is to give yourself the love that you have been withholding from yourself until you achieve that goal. We have been conditioned by the culture that we grow up in. I call it old happy. It tells us that we need to perfect ourselves, achieve these external goals, and do it all by ourselves. So we internalize these messages and then we treat ourselves in a way that perpetuates them. One of the ways in which that manifests is that we refuse to be kind to ourselves until we are perfect, achieving, and independent. But these goals are impossible to achieve, and the pursuit of them makes us miserable. You end up in an impossible position where you refuse to give yourself love until you reach this end point, but that end point is something that can never be reached. And then you end up living your whole life without loving yourself. The best way to disrupt it is to decide to extend love to yourself, to your imperfect yet worthy and wonderful self.
Celebrate your accomplishments. Lately, I've found myself being like super excited that I've actually been pouring into myself. Like, I'll just randomly be like working on something or doing something, and then I'll just get super giddy like, ooh, yep, I love myself. Because we spend so much time literally celebrating everyone else and everything that everyone else is doing. I have always been like the super cheerleader in the lives of people that I care about. Because like genuinely and naturally, that's just who I am. Like, I always want people to win. I always want people to do great. And the fact that like I have actually wanted that for myself and I've been implementing it, it feels so good. You know, like surviving life and stuff. Because with what you've been through, most people would have had a nervous breakdown. They wouldn't still be here, but like you're still doing it. And I'm happy about it, and I'm thankful to be able to share it. Because we should be celebrating our accomplishments. We should be celebrating our survival. And like, of course, you could absolutely look at life as a trap. As like something that you're stuck in. Or
on an everyday basis, I'm going to make sure I show up for myself and I celebrate myself so that I'm not relying on anyone else to feel that. However you want your birthday to be, do that. Even if you got to do it by yourself.
I think the younger generation has this weird obsession with the idea of dying young, when in reality, you need to start being happy and thankful for the ages that you can reach. I just lost one of my closest friends a few months ago. Bro was only 30 years old. Literally, a few days after his birthday, he passed away. He had an entire decade, right? Entire decade. He entered a new decade and had an entire one left. And he passed away. It's not cool, bro.
The obsession with youthfulness needs to stop. Honestly. Like, y'all literally feel like if you're not young, you can't be somebody, and that's really a fucking problem. That's the problem. Y'all are obsessed with feeling like you have to be young in order to be somebody. What are you talking about? That's your fucking problem, bruh. And that's also a problem on the youth. Y'all sitting here stressing yourselves mentally over here feeling like you need to be somebody at such a young age because you also are obsessed with the fact of youth. Feeling like you can only be somebody at one point in your life. Bro, you can achieve anything at any point in your fucking life. That's the problem. Y'all need to let go of feeling like you have to be young to do stuff. Just like, y'all gotta stop feeling like there's a problem with your age. Just because you look a certain age and you want to look at this age, bro, let it go. It's okay to grow older. It's okay to go through those changes, bro. But you also can be somebody at any point in your fucking life. Y'all see old and think it's a problem. No, I see old and I see wise, wisdom, experienced. Like,
You gotta understand, bro, there's benefits to when you get older. There really are, bro. So please, chill on the obsession with being young, because there's a lot more benefits the older you get.
We as a hip-hop community have to evolve past putting a limit on like where creativity stops. We have to be, and I say this as a community, like I'm glad you said like I'm gonna keep rocking until I can't rock no more, because we get older and we get smarter. And as we get smarter, we should be able to create smarter things.
Where we had the elites and corrupt power distorting our beauty standards, this is what women used to look like. Adult women with full bodies. Wrinkles were seen as a sign of wisdom and respect. Body hair, curves. Then somewhere along the line, youth became the obsession. No body hair, no softness, no wrinkles, shiny, smooth, childlike. An aging man is seen as distinguished, or sometimes we'll call them a silver fox. But the sacred feminine knows that aging is a part of life and it is a gift. We see this in the feminine archetypes. We go from maiden, mother, to crone. Season is not better than the other. Simply a part of the cyclical nature of life. See it in trees, in plants, in animals. So this is your reminder that aging is beautiful. We as women need to rise up against this beauty standard that's based in
whatever obsession you young folks have with, or I'm gonna call you young folks, you young folks have with being young, it needs to be studied, because it doesn't matter. Who cares? Because if you're not getting old, if you're not aging, then that means you're dead, right? That means you was no longer alive. So as long as I'm alive, I'm gonna be aging, and I'm just fine with that.
I'm a therapist, and the reason you hate your birthday is because you were raised by emotionally immature or narcissistic parents. Now, the reason I correlate this to your birthday is because you were constantly made to feel like you weren't good enough, you couldn't do anything right, you were always in the way. And by the time your birthday rolls around, instead of you seeing that as a celebration, all of the things that you've achieved and all of the things that you've done that year, you see it as something that you don't deserve to celebrate because you've constantly been an inconvenience to the people who are meant to love you unconditionally.
Stop Caring and Spend Less Parenting Edition. I posted about how corporations are trying to get you to care about things in order to get you to save money, and I think parents are a prime example of that audience. Now, the point of this video is not to try to say, oh, having a kid doesn't have to be expensive, because having a kid is really expensive in this country. But I think what happens is that marketers and advertisers kind of like tap into that existing truth to rationalize getting you to spend more money on other things that you kind of don't really need to parent well. The most egregious is the birthday party industrial complex. Truly out of control. In my area, if you want to have a child's birthday party outside the home, it's going to be minimum $500. Minimum $500. That's before you buy cake and food. It's for like 2 hours. This is a great business idea because it is insane to me that people are shelling out this money. I'm not saying that even having a birthday party at home can be expensive if you're going to invite a lot of people and feed them. It's definitely not cheap, but it's just wild to me that this has become the norm, and it's no wonder that their child's birthday seems to be the most miserable time for so many parents.
And I think without a rites of passage, a lot of young men can't comprehend when they becoming a man. And that's why we have so many adults that still think like children. They never had those moments that solidified them of knowing that I am now a man. We don't have that, but we have those in different forms. You know what I'm saying? And so you start moving a different way. This molds your identity when you have a rites of passage. Regardless of if it's good or bad, you have something that solidifies who you are. This is an identity thing, bro. What do we have that tells a boy he's a man now? What do we have that tell a girl she's a woman now?
I call them now rites of transformation. Mm-hmm. The word passage came from that. Remember, I don't know if I did already, but there are stages of development that we go through. I did mention that, right. Okay? Uh-huh. And it doesn't end at physical death, but it keeps on going into the realm of the spirits. When you are moving from one stage to the next, you are in a somewhat precarious position. You are vulnerable. The spirit is vulnerable. African people do not leave anything to chance. That is, they take the person and help to mold them into an African cultural being, to give them the strength of their culture. So at every juncture of your life, as Africans, we're going to make sure that a person moves successfully from one stage to another. Now, that's necessary for the culture to function successfully so that we can have adults who are committed to the culture. It is also necessary on a personal level so that you can become the better person that you can be. You see, so that you can evolve into the whole person that you are.
Today is my birthday, and I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to fake it. It's just not my happiest day. And a part of me thinks that a lot of people experience anxiety and depression on their birthday because it's the day that our soul separated from the whole and came into this low vibrational earth, and we experienced this trauma and this shock from entering this new world. And I feel like that's why that trauma people feel on their birthday is rooted in that what we experience. Like, you know, when babies come to this world, they're crying. They're trying to figure out like what's going on, like because our soul is separating from the whole. And so if you struggle with anxiety and depression, I just want you to think about how you can bring yourself back to that whole and remember that you are still a part of that whole and you don't have to feel that trauma.
On birthdays, you don't like birthdays?
No.
No, not into that.
No. We came here not knowing that we were going to die. Somebody told us that. And if we never knew we were going to die, we wouldn't celebrate a birthday because we...
But isn't it nice to celebrate the day you was born?
I'll celebrate the day I die.
Because you're going to move on to the next path in life.
Yes. Well, for example, you had how many birthdays?
Me? What do you think?
Well, I know that you had one birthday.
Yeah.
You were born
on
a certain day.
Absolutely.
You had no more birthdays after that. So I don't celebrate birthdays, so that stops me from counting days, which stops me from counting time, which allows me to still look the same as I did 10 years ago, just like that.
Fun fact. Most people in the developing world do not actually have a birthday. Let me explain. Welcome back to my Politics is a Scam series, and no, it may surprise you to learn that the concept of birthdays and like exact age is actually a very recent and very Western idea. Most Western countries, your birthday is developed as an essential piece of legal information, such that the system that we live in requires that you know your birthday because you will be putting it on every piece of paperwork that you do for the rest of your life. However, in less paperwork-heavy societies, that need has never arisen, which is why like those traditional maturity rituals, such as losing your first tooth, your naming ceremony, have become the default determinants of your age. What this has resulted in is tens of millions of people around the world have no idea what their actual exact birthday is because frankly, it wasn't that important of information for them to know before this point. However, international aid organizations have very much encouraged everyone adopting a universal, like this is whenever you are born information system because those people who don't have birthdays are generally kept out of the global economy. You're unable to apply for certain paperwork, benefits, get a passport, etc., if you don't have access to this one essential date that, you weren't really paying attention for. So yeah, having a birthday is not the essential universal experience that you may have thought that it was.
This past weekend was my birthday, and it was probably one of the most fulfilling times as I am reflecting right now. And I got to take my own advice. I got to do the things that I tell everybody else to do by just resting, being away from the place of work and outside of what you can do and in the place of just being. And it has brought me back to the place of doing the work with a few different characteristics. Like now I feel invigorated, I feel refreshed, I feel inspired, I feel hopeful, I feel loved, I feel connected, integrated. I feel as if I'm anew. And so not like happy, I'm not overjoyed, I'm not like, like too high, because I think if you get too high, you fall harder. And so I'm not really concerned with that. I'm more, okay, now I can get back to work. Now I can do all these different things that I talk so much about, and I can do them better. It's absolutely necessary to just focus on prioritizing just being sometimes as opposed to doing.
Birthdays became commercialized in the 1800s. It was mass commercialized by Hallmark and other industries. And it's less about your soul's arrival and more about gifts, sugar overload, social proof, group identity lock-in. The real you gets lost in ritual and is replaced by the birthday you. So it doesn't mean to cancel birthdays, it just means to reclaim them. Instead of aging, you can say, I'm entering my next spiral of expansion, or I have grown in light, or I'm constantly expanding my light, or whatever resonates with you. And instead of blowing your candle and wishing, just blow your candle and speak your truth into the candle. And celebrate not how long you survived, but how much light you've expanded and activated. So happy birthday can be a whole ritual if you think about it. It could be the very reason why people actually age. So just say goodbye to unconscious aging. And hello to external expansion.
Birthday depression. What people think versus what's actually happening. What people think is, they're so ungrateful. I tried to make their day special, and they can't even feel happy. They just need to cheer up. It's their birthday. It's meant to be festive. Who can't appreciate a cake? What is the matter with them? I wish they'd just snap out of it. Now is not the time for this. They just need to be more positive and look on the bright side. What's actually happening? They're so drained of energy and numb that they're completely desensitized to the world around them, even the good stuff. Their depression has set in extra hard because they know they should feel joy for their birthday, but aren't, so they feel guilty and ashamed. They've become aware that another year has gone by, and they're not where they wish they were because their depression is getting in the way. They feel guilty and sad that they can't be the person others expect them to be on their birthday. Please share to raise awareness. Birthdays can be a particularly difficult time for those with depression.
It makes sense as to why I prefer spending my birthday alone. Last year for my birthday, I went on a solo holiday, and that was probably like the best birthday I had in so long. And this year I took myself out to dinner and I really enjoyed myself. I just enjoy celebrating my birthday by myself because I can focus on the celebration and not the other stuff. Not that I don't have people that care about me, because I do, and I'm very blessed with the people around me. But celebrating my birthdays by myself helps me remove the mental noise that comes with having birthdays or doing birthday celebrations or birthday dinners, all that extra birthday stuff and all the birthday politics. There's no pressure, it's just peace.
Last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. I want to thank me for having no days off. I want to thank me for never quitting. I want to thank me for always being a giver and trying to give more than I receive. I want to thank me for trying to do more right than wrong. I want to thank me for just being me at all times. Snoop Dogg, you a bad motherfucker, cuz. Thank you, cuz. I appreciate that.